Yeah, I think we can begin. We'll just wait for another minute and yeah.
Sure. Is Siddharth joining us as well?
Yeah, he's I think the participant section.
Okay.
Lovely. So I think we'll begin. Thank you so much, Kalol, for taking time out to doing this webinar. We're very excited, and you can see through the mentees they're also very excited to hear your journey in designing and hear your inputs and pro tips as well. So thank you
Mhm.
so much for coming on board.
Thank you so much for having me, first of all. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, how much of an how much of an experience I'll be able to share with the all the attendees. But I hope that there are quite a few takeaways that they can implement and do not repeat the mistakes that I have done.
Definitely,
So
definitely.
yeah.
Lovely. So huge shout out to the QFIS team as well, who have arranged for amazing webinars like Kalol for delivering these kind of sessions to you all. So you all can definitely check out the QFIS page as well. And let's get on with the session. So before we get started, can you introduce yourself? Tell us your educational background and what are you currently doing?
Sure. So, for those who don't know, I'm Kalol. So, I work as a product designer with Swiggy. So, the design team at Swiggy is quite large, I would say. I mean, as far as a startup is concerned. So, I mean, the entire product design team is around 21 to 22 designers. And, all of them are responsible for handling the various aspects of the product that you see. So, most of the users that uh, you know uh, that they know about Swiggy is the consumer app. Is what that I have also been involved with mostly. But other than that, we have the delivery app as well as the the restaurant app. So different teams are involved there as well. But I work mostly on the consumer side. I mean, all the fancy things that you see on the Swiggy app. So I have done a few things. So it's not been a lot of time that I moved to Swiggy. I think I shall be completing a year soon with Swiggy. So meanwhile I have done a few projects. A couple of them have gone live as well, and I'm as of now I'm working on revamping the chat experience. So I'm just hoping that it would come out soon. Yeah, so that's what I mean as far as my current role is concerned. And as far as how I moved into design and my what my education is concerned. So I have done my bachelor's in architecture. So, and post that I practiced the architecture for a year or so. And then so I decided that I was not really inclined the the way that I should have been, right? But I have always longed for design, right? So I mean, before pursuing architecture as well, right? So I was mostly, I mean, although I was decent in physics, chemistry, and maths, I never really wanted to pursue engineering as such. And, I was lucky that I had parents who were understanding, and and they allowed me to choose a career path for me that I really wanted to pursue. So I started with the journey. So I pursued architecture. It's not that I didn't like architecture, but I have always had an inclination towards design, right? So I did that. But honestly speaking, I have I belong from a small town in Assam. So at that point of time, right when I did my plus 12, so I was not really aware of all the options that I might have, right? Even architecture was relatively known to me, right?
Yeah.
But I decided to take a plunge, and since I was not really interested in either medical or engineering as such, so I took a leap of faith. So I appeared for AIEEE. So back then, for BARC as well, you would have to appear for AIEEE. So which I did, and then I pursued, started with my architectural journey. So it was a good journey, I would say, and architecture stretches for quite some time. I mean, the entire course is around 5 years, so you really have to, drag through those years. But it was fun, I would say. But meanwhile, so once I was done with my architecture and I was practicing, so I moved back to my native. So I moved back to Assam. So back then, when I was practicing, so a friend of mine who used to be a classmate during my graduation days, I heard that he started preparing for something called SEED, right? So the SEED is an examination. So SEED is a national examination that is held for design, right?
Okay.
So he started preparing for that, and this got me intrigued, and started inquiring him about a bit more, and once I knew that what seed meant, I desperately wanted to crack that, and I dropped the bomb at my home that I am quitting architecture and I want to take some time off. I mean, I studied for 5 years, and I was already longing for a break, I would say. And then even then my parents were supportive, and they said that if you would really want to pursue a master, then go for it. That's fine. So I think I was I would consider myself lucky that way. But I did prepare for some time for SAT, and then I appeared for interviews in a couple of colleges, IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, then SPA. So as far as my course and what I wanted to pursue, so SPA Delhi was providing the industrial design course, and I really like the overall course structure that they were providing, and it was so SPA Delhi, the MDes course that you have in SPA Delhi is more geared towards physical products, right? So I mean, yeah, they do have a section of the course which is also structured towards the digital product, right? So we have spent long hours at the workshop trying to build something new, and that was, I think, one of the best 2 years of my life that I have spent studying, and it was a really great experience. But but digital products was something was my call, right? So I had an opportunity to either move into physical products as such, or I had the opportunity to move into digital products. So I felt that for me, if I like as far as building experience was concerned, I was more inclined towards building something digital, that has got to do a lot with the user experience and how you interact with people. So I felt that it could be my calling, and we had Infosys come over for as a part of placement also. Although I was not really interested in joining Infosys as such, but I felt that it would be, it would help jumpstart my career. So I moved there, and it was a fairly good experience. I mean, I was just fresh pass out from college. Although I had a little bit of theoretical knowledge, but as far as practical knowledge is concerned, it was close to none. So I have had the opportunity with working with a lot of seniors who have been in the field for quite some time, right? So how to deal with clients, how to handle turnkey projects. Suppose that after a certain point of time, I approximately 2 years, I felt that I really needed a switch, and I was looking for a more challenging environment. And then so the pace at at which you work in Infosys, it's like calm. You take your own time, and do the projects. I think as long as you are willing to learn, you would have ample scope, right? But if you have to grow, right, I think you need an environment which will actually push you to grow. It's not a very, so it was kind of becoming a very complacent environment for me, and I was looking for a career growth as well. And I and my appetite for learning was also there. So I took a plunge. I mean, I didn't really have a lot of experience. So I think that's you I mean, the next step that I did, I would not exactly consider it to be an unwise move, but I think my suggestion for the upcoming designers would be to try and try and look for an environment that has a very mature setup, right? So I'm assuming all of the aspirants here are looking to pursue design. So my only advice from here is to somebody's saying, can you please repeat the course? Is it fine if I take the questions after
Yeah.
maybe
We'll do
after
the
the session?
questions post the session.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so the thing is that I switched. So I desperately wanted a switch. So I moved to a relatively unknown startup, which was in a very nascent stage, right? So when I moved there, I came to know that it's been just a few months into inception, and they didn't really have a designer onboarded. So I was the designer who would be joining the team, and I have to take the onus of the entire design of the product, right? So I mean, although I did have a little bit of experience, so but I was in no way ready to handle the design responsibility of a whole startup, right? But still I said that let me take up the job, and I will learn everything from there. So I did, which was, I think, a good move in a way, I would say, because I learned a lot of things in a relatively short period of time. I mean, had I been in Infosys, it would have taken a hell lot of time to learn the things and the experience that I've had. So I stayed there for close to a year. So I was responsible for releasing the first version of the product. So we did a lot of user research. We went out and spoke to a lot of people, did a lot of user interviews, usability testing, and I mean, the entire team was new. We almost all this, bearing a few senior engineering folks, I think almost I mean 80% of the team had just an experience of 2 to 3 years under their belt, and they were leading a startup. So I think we were naive at that point of time, but we took it as a challenge, and that was also a very fun part of my journey, I would say. I mean, we did a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, going around with people and doing random research at places, and coming up with websites. And after around 6 to 7 months of hard work, we released our first version of the app, and it went into Play Store and App Store. And it, I mean, yeah. So although it was a first version, it was okay. I mean, it didn't really bring the charts to fire or anything as such. But all the users that we got relatively like the product. They obviously had their feedbacks to share with us, and we were keen to implement those. So I think I stayed there for quite some time, and I felt that after a period of 1 year, the learnings that I could get from that particular startup had again started to stagnate, right? And I think, and as far as taking the product to a certain stage, I had already achieved that, right? So meanwhile, while I started considering for a switch, so I was approached by Scootsie. So Scootsie, for those who don't know, Scootsie is also was also a food aggregator platform, right? And Scootsie was based exclusively out of Mumbai. And Scootsie launched relatively at a time when Swiggy also launched at around 2015. So I obviously didn't know about Scootsie much, but apparently in Mumbai it's a huge hit, and the main USP of Scootsie was that it only catered to only high value customers. So but I would say, so in Swiggy, so like if you know about food startups, so there is a term called AOV. AOV is the average order value. So this is the average amount of an order that users usually place from food aggregator platforms like Swiggy and Zomato, right? For Swiggy, the AOV is around 200, 300, or 400 max, right? But for Scootsie, it used to range between 2000, 1200, 1500. So and Scootsie listed all the five-star restaurant and all the high profile brands, right? And Scootsie was acquired by Swiggy in 2018, right? So it was some deal that they bought Scootsie, and Scootsie became an entity of Swiggy, but it used to operate individually out of the Mumbai office. And then the Swiggy team decided that Scootsie needed to have a dedicated design team and a product team of its own, and then they started hiring for Scootsie. So, but during I think last year in 2019 that they started hiring for Scootsie, and I joined as their sole product designer for this Scootsie team. And then we had a relatively new team, and we were all working out of the Swiggy office only. This being an entity of Swiggy, obviously. And we did some releases, but there were after a few months, I think. So it was decided that Scootsie as a team would be absorbed within Swiggy, and would start to exist as an auxiliary product of Swiggy within the Swiggy app, right? And they hence dissolved the team at Scootsie, and all most of the teams were given an option if they wanted to be a part of the Swiggy team. They could do so, or if they had any other option, they could choose that. So obviously I would say I would love to be a part of the Swiggy design team, and I grabbed that opportunity. So I think I have as far as joining Swiggy is concerned, it's been almost more than 1 year that I have, but as far as joining the Swiggy team is concerned, Swiggy product design team is concerned, it's been like 8 to 10 months that I've been working here, and till now it has been an amazing experience.
That's amazing. That sounds like quite an interesting journey, and I'm sure a lot of students also relate because, like you mentioned, UX designer and designers were not very well known at that point of time. It's an upcoming
Yes.
field right now, so it's amazing to hear your journey as well. And I like that you touch upon a lot of various designing topics. So if I could just, and read out a couple of designations that you'd mentioned, if you could throw light on what the job role or the roles and responsibilities for those designations are. Okay, so as a UX designer, what exactly were you required to do in these organizations?
Okay. See, I mean, the rules that you see here, right? I think students these days, right, come across a lot of roles, and I understand, this can tend to be, tend to become overwhelming at times, right? They see job profiles like UI designer, UX designer, product designer, now, UX researcher, and then there are certain roles that have popped up that I even don't know, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at the core value proposition and tasks that designers are supposed to perform, I think, see, UX design as such is a large umbrella term, right? So UX encompasses a lot of elements, right? Now if you say that you are an UX designer, a lot of people might assume that I'm just responsible for making wireframes and stuff like that, making just the skeleton, which is not actually true. So user experience, when you see, introduce yourself as a user experience designer, you are thinking about the entire user journey and the user experience that a customer is going to enjoy with your product, right? You are the sole person who is responsible for enhancing that experience, right? So now you cannot do that by just making wireframes and stuff like that, although it's just a part. But a role of UX designer is much more, right? Now, but that being said, right, now a lot of places, right, if you look at companies that have have a high level of design maturity, I would say, right? If you consider a place like Swiggy or a place like Amazon, they
Yeah.
have a dedicated design team, right? Now they mostly look for specialists, right? Now if they look for someone who is a visual designer, right? His his sole responsibility is to improve the visuals as much as he can, right? Bringing that level of finesse, right? That that goes into the product, right, at the final stage, right?
Mm.
But when you speak of an core UX designer role is concerned, right? So he has to understand the nitty gritties of the product, right? Ins and outs of the product, right from user research, how he should be dealing with gathering insights. He should have an understanding of the users, right? Who he is building the product for, right? And at the end of the day, but that being said, once you are an UX designer, although we are an advocate of our users, I think it's also important to understand that you have to cater to the business needs as well. And sometimes what the business demands might clash with your ideology as well, also might clash with what the user might want, right? So I think as a UX designer, you have to maintain a fine balance between what the business needs are, as well as without disregarding the user's need. And you become the mediator here, right? Since you understand your users, and you understand the business side of the product as well, right? So you have to understand the ins and outs of the product, how to do the analysis, right? How to look at data, how to infer the meaning out of the data, right? But if you let's for example, who is a visual designer, he may not be required to look at the data, for instance, right? His role is to solely improve the visual aspect of it, right? So I think these are the core differentiation, I would say. But that being said, UX designer is someone who has to be also well versed into the visual side of it as well. He has to understand, right? How to marry a good UX with a good visual, right? He has to has that ability as well. So it's not that your job ends after you have created the wireframes, right? You have to go beyond that as well.
Lovely. And
So
it's all
yeah,
interconnected. That very
yes,
well
yes,
explained. Yeah. What about
absolutely. I
product
think
designer?
so. Product design is, see, so there is a blurred. So the roles between a product designer and the UX designer is kind of overlapping, right? A lot of places, right? Wants to have a designation such as product designer. So if you look at the designers like Swiggy, so we all have a product designer designation, right? So we don't have anything such as UX designer, right? But what we do is mostly the same, right? But at the same time, what if your role is that of a core UX designer, you might be more involved with all the framework and all those stuff, right? But being a product designer, I have worked on product, right, end to end, right from understanding the problem, right from creating wireframing, and to the final visual design, right? So we
Yeah.
we have a dedicated visual designers as well, who might maybe sign off the visual design, but I have to take it to a stage that it's 95 to 97% complete, right? So
Okay.
yeah, so for a role that is primarily revolving around UX, he has to have an understanding of maybe visual design, but his core responsibility is building the product, right?
Okay. Okay. All right. So what are the skills required for a product designer? Because a lot of our mentees, want to move into the, even if they learn UX or app development or graphic designing, they want to move into the
Mhm.
industry with different kinds of jobs. And like you mentioned, we're not very sure of what kind of job opportunities open up. So what are the kind of skills
Mhm.
they should be, acquiring when they're in college so that, they can get these kind of jobs?
Mhm. So I think, since I have been in the UX design field primarily, right? So what I can say is that, see, softwares, I mean, is a necessity, right? Obviously, if you have just ideas, you'd need to know a certain set of softwares to actually build those designs, right? But that
Yeah.
being said, I think software should not be an hindrance for you to becoming a good designer, I would say. But I think one primary primary prerequisite of a designer is something, first of all, it's not that okay, design is the design is a cool thing to do these days. I don't really have an inclination toward design. It's just hip these days, so I might as well pursue design. So I think that should not be the idea. And you should have a very keen sense of observation, and empathy is the right term. You should have an understanding, right? If you are building a product, you should know that you should empathize with your customers. You should have that skill set, that you put yourself into their shoes, and can try and understand what their problems might be, right? Once you understand those problems, and then you put them out onto paper, and maybe use the softwares to get to a solution, right? But that is maybe 10 to 15% of what design is. Understanding the core problem constitutes of 80 to 90% of what a good design should be.
Okay. So coming to the topic of this session of, how to build your portfolio. So can you tell us a couple of
Mm-hmm.
projects that, students should be working on as well? Because I'm sure, recruiters, the first thing they look at is your resume or your portfolio. So what kind of
Mm-hmm.
projects or, something that looks good on the resume that you would suggest that you have probably built or is good for a resume as well for
Mm-hmm.
students to get more experience?
I think, see, what my suggestion is to, if you really know the type of, design role that you want to embark on, and, create a portfolio based on that. Suppose, right, if I am a UX designer and I want to build a portfolio, UX portfolio, right? So I would want to, show all the processes that have gone into building the product, right? I just don't slap a few final visual design screens, right? For a UX designer, right? If a recruiter is trying to hire a UX designer, he would want to see, how his thought process is, right? How his aptitude is, how he goes about solving a problem, right? Now suppose I want to I'm looking out for a UX role, and and my portfolio just has a few screen final visual designs of a project, right? But for a recruiter, he is not interested about my visual design screen, right, skills. What he wants to know is what is the process that I approach while going about a problem, right? He is more concerned about that. So hence, similarly, a designer who is looking to become a UI designer or a visual designer, right? So how his final visual design skills are what matter, right? If he has a Dribble account, if he has a Behance account, and if he can show how good his visual design skills are, right? Maybe at that
Yeah.
point of time, he does not really need to show the UX process, right? But what the final outcome is, right? How visually aesthetic and appealing he can make the product, right? So I think these are the core differentiation. If you are trying to become a graphic designer, right? You would obviously want to show your graphic design skills, right? So it's very subjective. So I think the portfolio of a UX designer would vary vastly from what a visual designer's portfolio is.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And so what kind of internships also would you suggest that, students be working on if they want to move into the UX field? And how do
Hmm.
they get these internships?
I think the best way is to network as much as they can, right? Reach out to designers. I mean, working at all those places, I in fact get a lot of requests from a lot of students, reaching out to me for internship. In fact, we had we had someone who joined in our team recently. So he interned with us apparently last year, and he was offered a full-time job, right? Last month. So I think the best way to, rather than reaching out to the administration, I think that's slightly a tedious and a cumbersome process. Is that, you have a wonderful platform called LinkedIn. So reach out to designers. I'm sure, all of us have been in the same boat, and, all of us are always willing to help, as long as we have some roles there. I think more often than not, you would receive a reply from them. Try to reach out to them, build your network, right? Always keep a portfolio handy, if someone asks. Also, but whenever you are trying to build a portfolio, always try to remember the goal. If you are applying for a UX designer role, your portfolio should be geared towards this role, right? If you are trying to apply for a visual design role, your portfolio should specifically be geared toward a visual design role, right? So I think those are something, if it's being kept in mind, I think it's fairly easy.
Okay. I like that you also mentioned, Dribble and a couple of other platforms that,
Mhm.
students should be having if they're looking to apply for these roles. Because I think recruiters, that's the first thing they ask you, send me your profile so we
Mhm.
can see it. So can you tell us a couple of platforms which are asked by the industry, like Swiggy or other companies? What are the
Mhm.
specific platforms they really look for?
I think it again depends on the type of role. If you are a visual designer, or maybe a motion designer, you dabble with animation softwares like After Effects, or you are more inclined towards a visual designer, then platforms like Dribble or Behance is a good place to be showcase your work. But if you are a UX designer, I think Dribble may not be of much help. I mean, because the only provision that you get on Dribble is to uh, share your hero shots, right? But for a recruiter who is looking to hire UX designer, they want to see more than just hero shots, right? Then in that case, I think Behance is a good platform where you can share your entire projects, right? Build projects in a way that the recruiters can understand, right, your whole thought process behind the product. And apart from that, you can build your own websites as well. So there is no mandate as such that you have to be on Dribbble, or you have to be on so as long as you have your work to show to the recruiters, I think you are good to go. Even if you do not have any online portfolio, if you have a compilation of all of your work made in a PDF format, right, even that does gets the job done. It's just that sharing online portfolios is just easy, right? That's
Yeah.
the yeah. So I think it's not a mandate that you need to have an online portfolio as such, but you definitely need to have a collation of your work.
Okay. Any specific tools and softwares that you use at Swiggy as well, like, as a product designer?
I think tools are necessity these days. I mean, so we at Swiggy, we used to use Sketch, right? But now we are gradually transitioning into Figma. So
Okay.
I think, yeah, so most of the design team now uses Figma, and for prototyping we use a tool called Principle, right? And then that is something we do. And for motion design and stuff like that, we definitely use After Effects, and I think that's the best tool as of yet to build all those micro interactions and everything. But there are a lot of tools. So if you want to use, you can choose XD as well. Adobe XD is a good tool too. And more so it's free. So XD, but no matter what tool you choose, if you are a UX designer, primarily, and if you want to pick up either of those, I think these are fairly easy tools to learn and pick up. So if you know XD, it will be very easy for you to switch to Figma and vice versa. So these tools are very easy, does not really need a lot of time to understand. So you can get started with it immediately.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Are there any like specific apps, websites, or like certifications that you know of, like to learn these specific softwares, or like how to get better at it? Anything that you know about?
Uh, I think if you want to learn softwares, I think YouTube is a great platform. It's just that you have to be very consistent and diligent with it. I mean, there are a lot of courses available. I mean, if you wish to learn, right, there is Coursera, there is Udemy, right, as far as learning certificate, learning software is concerned. Maybe if you want to certificate is more than just showing off. It should be used for learning. So as long as you have that appetite for learning, right, you can take up a lot of certification courses as well. I think IDF is something, Interaction Design Foundation is a good place to learn. It's not that you'd be asked to produce certificates from IDF as such. So certificate as such won't really hold a lot of value while you go for interviews. But
Right.
what so whatever things you learn there would be quite invaluable, I'd say.
Okay, all right. So you also mentioned about the designing exams and a couple of courses in different colleges. And because you have gone through that, could you throw a little bit of light on what are the exams and what colleges have the kind of courses? Because a lot of our students are
Huh.
either in school or college, and they want to either move into
Mhm.
that field. So any specific colleges that you can throw light on?
Yeah, I think, see, but I can definitely suggest if anybody is planning to go for masters in design, right? So there are a lot of good private colleges as well. But if anybody is specifically willing to crack an exam, so that would be SEED. I think I'm not sure if anything has changed since the time I appeared, but it's SEED is Common Entrance Examination for Design, right? CED. So, once you appear for seat, so I mean, all those IITs and the tier A colleges would be, would mandatorily need a seat score for, would need that you qualify the seat examination. So, once you have, qualified with that scorecard, you are eligible to apply for, all the IITs that have masters in design course, right? That is, there is MDes in IIT Bombay, which is called IDC, Industrial Design Center. And then you have design courses in SP, as I said. Then there is design course in IIT Delhi, and and a few other colleges. Then IIT Guwahati as well, right? So IIT Guwahati is BDES as well, BDES and MDES. So for BDES, I am assuming you still need to clear the IITZ examination, and for masters, you would have to clear the SEED. And then post that, once you have a certain cutoff mark, you would be called for interviews, and if you crack the interviews, you are in. As simple as
Okay.
that.
All right, lovely. So we look at a couple of Menti questions that they've posted. So somebody, Chinmay is asking how to start a career as a product developer.
Product developer. So I think, are you specifically asking about the development aspect? I mean, as a UI developer, or someone who is involved in coding?
No, so I think it's more into the product, like the whole designing aspect of it, I think.
Uh, yeah,
Yes.
because when the term, but
Yeah, she's
okay.
mentioned, yes,
Yes, I
product
think,
designing.
yeah, so product designing is, it's not a mandate that you should have a design degree. See, a lot of, companies might, make it as a prerequisite that you need to have design degree for you to be able to appear for those courses. But I think it's kind of redundant. I mean, you can go for a design degree. I mean, if you want to learn, I myself having taken that route, I think definitely say that. But I think as long as you have the appetite for learning, see, I mean, there are brilliant designers in Swiggy who haven't really pursued any design course. A lot of them are engineers. A lot of them are architects. They come from different different background, and who inclined, who were really passionate about, right, passionate about design, and started, uh, doing their own research, and reaching out to the right people, and taking internship and stuff, right? So but I think design is a prerequisite. I mean, if you want to learn, you can definitely do it. So design degree is not a mandate. I think a few companies might ask for it, but I think the scenario is gradually changing. So I think hardly any good company would require that you have a design degree. So if you wish to go to any of the big four seven, right, Google or Facebook, they don't really need a design degree. So if you have a solid portfolio, and good experience, and know your game well, I think you are good to go.
Okay. So Priyanka is also asking, can you tell us from scratch how to start with portfolio, the portfolio design? So what is required for your design portfolio? How should you, structure it for the recruitments as well?
Uh, I think it will depend at what stage you are in. I mean, if you are a student, I mean, if you are a design student, obviously you would have done a few, courses, you might have worked on a few projects during your semesters. You can collate all of that, in a digestible format, so that the person whosoever looks at your portfolio, understands, so your portfolio should be built in such a way that you need not really explain the portfolio, right? It should be self-explanatory, right? So just assume, while building your portfolio, always try and remember that you won't be there in front of your portfolio to be able to speak about the product, right? Your portfolio should be built in such a way that it's self-explanatory, right? It's not a mandate that you have to show like 8 to 10 projects, right? No, you don't need to do that. Just maybe pick 2 to 3 good projects out of all the work that you have done, and try to compose them, properly in a proper digestible format, and I think that's more than enough to get started with.
Okay. So, as a product designer, how important is it to know app development? Like, should you know coding and like, UX design as well as designing, or it just like is interrelated?
I think coding is not a necessity, is definitely not a necessity. I mean, see, I don't know how to code, right? So I don't have an engineering background as well. So coding is definitely not a necessity. But that being said, you do need to have an understanding of how things work, right? You should be able to understand the developer's language. You need not sit and code something on your own. You're obviously, I'm not saying that you need to understand the developer's language, that you need to know a coding language as such. But all the technical jargons that they might have, right? You should have a basic understanding of how the thing works, right? So I mean, it should not, you should not leave your design at a stage that ki acha ho gaya ye log, but the rest is your call. You should see through it that the product has been built properly like the way you had designed, right? So I think that bit of understanding, I think, has to be there. So
Okay.
but for the, and I think a lot of it comes with experience as well. You don't really need to do a course as such. I mean, once you are in that setup, and you start uh, working with a developer, all those things will come gradually, I
Okay,
think,
yeah, you
more.
tend to understand the whole
Yes,
jargon
yes.
and
So,
everything.
so I
Uh,
think it's not.
so Sumant has also mentioned he's checked out a lot of job opportunities on LinkedIn and major companies, mentioning that experience is needed in HTML, CSS3, and JSS. Sorry,
Uh,
JS. Is that needed
yes.
for a UX designer?
No, absolutely not. So those who are writing those job profiles are perhaps the one who does not really have a clue about what design is. So most of this, postings are done by, people from the HR and the marketing team who don't really know what goes into design. So, yes. So as far as being a core UX designer is concerned, you don't really need to have an understanding of HTML. But that being said, having an understanding of HTML, CS, and all those languages does help. You know,
That's
it might be, yeah, so it might just be a bonus asset, right? So but it's not mandatory in any way, right? You
okay.
know,
That's great. I
what you
think,
need to, yeah, I
yeah.
think what you need to focus more is your core skill, and that is design, right? If you have additional time, do invest your time in, you know, all those auxiliary activities. But if you're looking for a design job, you need to be good in design first. So
Makes sense. I think it clears a lot of doubts for students. So Chinmay is also asking, what is the difference between a product designer and a product manager?
product manager is someone, now there is a thing. If you are talking about product design manager, like the way we have in Swiggy, so product design manager is also a designer. Okay, so that is a role which is completely different from what product managers do. Okay, so product design managers, you would have very few companies who have a relatively large design team. They need, you know, design managers also to manage the, you know, all the design assets they have, right? All the design resources they have. But, you know, product managers are the one who are responsible for the product, right? So designers need to closely work with, you know, managers. So managers will be, you know, product managers would be your, you know, go-to person if you have any doubt related to products, right? You know, so product manager would be the one who is owning the product, right? You know, he would, you know, shuffle the responsibilities between designers, the business stakeholders, the engineering folks, right? All those stuff. So he's a mediator sort of person who will maintain all the logs, who will maintain all the documents, and will ensure that the product feature that the whole team is working collectively is, you know, released in a proper way.
Okay, all right. So somebody is also asking, what is the difference between a UI UX designer and sorry, UI UX designing and front end development?
So first of all, UI UX designer is something, you know, that is being thrown around a lot. So UI slash UX designer. So there is no role as such. Okay. So UI design is just a component of UX design. As I said, right? UX is a large umbrella term, right? So enhancing the user interface also becomes a part of enhancing the user experience of a product, right? So once you say that you are a UX designer, you are essentially also a UI designer. I mean, who has an understanding of how the UI assets work, right? How to play around with icons, right? You know, how to deal with uh, how to use a typography in your layout, how to build your designs in grids, right? All those UI aspects. So I mean, it's just one role. It's not UI slash UX. I think it's being thrown around a lot, which is I think it's, you know, false. Yeah,
That is
but yeah, but I think the main question was what is the difference? I think what the
yeah.
primary difference between a UI developer and a UI designer, right? Yes, so UI developers are the one who codes your design, right? You build the design, right? You decide what needs to go into the design, right? All the aspects of the design, right? So you decide the functionality and everything, and once the design has been finalized, right? So you UI developers are the front end developers, right? So front end, see, when an app is being developed, right? There are things that you see on the app, right? All the things that the users see while using an app, right? But you know, apart from that, there are hundred other things that goes on in the back end, right? You know, how they are dealing with, you know, server responses, you know, API calls and everything, that, you know, building the framework. So there are back-end engineers and front-end engineers, right? So UI developers are primarily front-end engineers who code your design.
Okay, all right. That's very interesting to know. So, uh, even on an app, like for example, like you all use a Swiggy app a lot, and you all
Mhm.
plan out what goes out, what kind of experiences people are understanding from the app, what kind of buttons they would like to click, and things like that. So, is it also like required to understand where you need to be putting certain functionalities, and do you all communicate with the developers directly, saying that this is what we want? How does it work?
I think I think one aspect that we definitely try to do at, get the Swiggy design team is a user research. All our decisions are always, data driven. It's not that, we hardly do things based on hunch, right? So whatever that goes out, right, or we propose to build, we do extensive, we do extensive research, we do extensive testing, we do extensive data analysis as well. Also we try to listen to our customers as much as we can. So I think this is something that is one of our core value proposition, and you could say that this is one of the core principles that we abide by. And all the design decisions are always research and user driven.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So Yashwant is also asking, what is like the salary package for a product designer when either as a fresher or like later on in the field?
I think that is very dynamic, I would say. I think salary package is something, I mean, honestly speaking, it will also depend on your past experience as well. If you are a fresher and if you are perhaps maybe coming out of an IIT, you can expect slightly higher packages. It's not that, it won't be exorbitantly high, right? But yeah, so one thing which might help. So if you are coming from a prestigious college, is the jump start, right? If you are from a good college, if you are graduating out of IIT, you might have a maybe six-digit salary would be a far-fetched, unless and until you really have a good deal. But you tend to get somewhere around 10 plus, right? Starting out. But at the same time, a person who hasn't who has perhaps done in engineering, maybe not from an IIT, maybe from a tier B college, and he still wants to pursue design. So even if he has the skill set, if he is starting out as a designer, if he is planning to switch his role, and then maybe he may not receive as much. But then again, it will totally depend on his skills. I think skill set is something. If you have exceptional skill, there are a lot of companies that are willing to pay exorbitant sum. So it just boils down to how good you are.
Definitely, and I think nowadays everybody uses an app, so these kind of roles are in demand also by a lot of industries.
Yes, I think this is a boon as well. I think at the same time, it turns out to be a bane sometime, right? A lot of people who I see, a lot of people have reached out to me, inquiring specifically about design only because of the fact that it gives you, you get a good salary perhaps. So my only suggestion is that if you are maybe thinking just about the salary part, I would say there are far many jobs who would maybe provide a better package than what designers get. But but I think after that, if you don't really have that inclination, right, it will start becoming a burden after some. Being a designer, it could be a fact that you are working endlessly for an extensive stretch of time without taking a break. So unless and until you have the passion, right, you won't be able to go on and on. So that is something I definitely suggest. So I mean, it will pay well, but at the same time, any job that you are good at, right, any job will pay you well. So think if you really want to do it or not. So only then take the plunge.
Okay. So Sumant is also asking, how long does it take for a UX designer to reach a product designer role?
See, as I said, right, these terms are being used interchangeably. So it's not that, you can take up a junior product designer or a senior product designer role, right? So it's not that after a certain point of time, UX designers become, product designer. A lot of companies would, use the term product designers, whereas a lot of companies would use the term UX designer. So it's not, I mean, more or less the roles are overlapping.
Okay. So I see a couple of questions related to the SEED exam as well. So Sudarshan is pursuing CS engineering fourth year, but he's not sure about, what he wants to move into. So he wants to know what is required to clear the SEED exam. So is it just the exam? What else is also required?
I think SEED is a, I mean, fairly easy exam to clear. I mean, it's not very tough. I mean, if you have the inclination and if you have the basic aptitude, I would say it's fairly easy to clear. But if you are applying for all those premier colleges like IDC, right? IDC Bombay, so they want so their cutoff scores goes quite high because the seats are very limited. So that's there. But I think seat is also something, if you have to pursue masters, right? It's not as I said, right? If you want to switch to a designer role, you don't really need to do masters or appear for seat. So appear for seat, if you want to do your masters in design as well, right? If you want to study as well, then you can definitely go and appear for seat. But if your job is to transition into a designer role, seed is not a mandate. I mean, a lot of people in our team, as I said, right, they don't really have a design background as such. I mean, they don't come from design colleges, but they are brilliant designers. So as long as it all boils down to what's your appetite for learning, and up to what extent you are willing to go to learn.
Definitely. And I think and that's the main reason for my captain as well. Like we understand, this kind of like courses that you're put into is just medical or law or engineering. And then, we see a
Uh,
lot of people who are booming designers and, brilliant
yes.
people as well.
A lot of, see, I mean, the term UX designer has kind of boomed in the last 5 6 years. I would say in the last decade. I mean, UX designer, although it is a relatively new field, but there has been UX designer since the past 30 years, right? But hardly very few people knew about it. But now with the advent of startups and all those, so UX design job has become it's a very highly sought after job, right? So hence a lot of people are randomly transitioning into the role, without really understanding, or after the switch they tend to understand, okay, maybe this role is not for me. So
That is
I think, yes, so I think always try and pursue the things that you want, right? I mean, as long as you are absolutely good at the things that you do, you need not worry about anything, you know any job and any career is good.
that is true. So Priyanka is also saying she's currently pursuing MCA and she's interested in the field of graphic designing. So she
Mhm.
wants to know, does she need to give a particular exam for this if she wants to apply into the field of graphic designing, or can she pursue only with a portfolio directly?
I think having a good portfolio is more than enough. Okay, I mean, as long as you have the skill sets, you have expertise with tools like Illustrator, Photoshop, and if you have a solid portfolio to show to the recruiters, I think it's more than enough. You don't really need a degree.
Okay. Adil is also asking, can anyone take the SEED exam?
Yes, I think for seat, the prerequisites are you either need to have an engineering background or an architecture background, or I think you need to have a BFA background from what I know.
Oh,
I think, yeah, so these three are accepted. If they have added any other job like academics, I'm not sure of that, but
okay.
uh, when I appeared for those, so these three were being accepted.
Okay. So Pawan is also asking a very interesting question. He said, my parents want me to do software engineering, but I want to be a UI designer. How to explain to them? And can I say that UI is also part of the IT industry?
I think, see, this will depend on your, persuasive skills, how well you can, persuade your parents. I think, yeah, I can understand this, tends to get slightly complicated, right? But I think, the best situation, I may not be the right person to comment on it, but I think it always works to have, sit with them and try and, make them understand rather than just opposing them at the end of the day, right? You would be just spoiling the situation, right? So I think maybe it could be a situation that, your parents are only concerned about your future, right? So they have the understanding that if you are into a CS role, then your future is sorted. They are only thinking for your future only. But if you can try and explain them, okay, that this is also something which might, help jumpstart your, a career, and you might be able to do better in that role if you are really interested. I think I'm sure parents would understand. I
Definitely.
think, yeah, I don't really have a, expert comment on this.
Now, but I think you rightly mentioned that parents are always concerned, and if you can, prove to them or like let them know about the kind of opportunities that are
Yes.
available, they'll definitely understand
A
that.
lot of times, is just because, they aren't aware of the, they aren't aware of the possibilities. So
Right.
they feel that, if my son or my daughter takes up engineering or, medical, his or her future is secured, right? Yeah, I
Right.
think if they know, but there are 100 other like, possibilities, and not just engineering and medical, I think they would sure be appreciative of that fact as well.
Definitely, definitely. So we look at the last question. Pranav is asking, how can a designer collaborate with the industry? With industry.
I didn't quite understand this
Yeah,
question.
Pranav, you could just elaborate on your question. I think he wants to know, as like a maybe a freelancer, how does he, collaborate for different kind of work that he can put out, if I'm not wrong.
Mm, I think, see, if if that is the question, I think being a freelancer, I mean, yeah, you can definitely be a freelance designer. I think a lot of people, in fact, I mean, look at that as a viable option. Yeah, I think it's in fact good. I mean, you have to, if you have the networking skill, if you have your clients, I think it's a very good place to be in. But that being said, you still need to have a solid portfolio of works behind you, right? If a client comes to you and asks, right, if he is willing to shell out this much money, right, to hire you, he would need to see your credentials as well, right? How good you are. So I think there are a lot of portals for designers, right? There are places like Fiverr, Upstart, Upwork, and people even get clients via Dribble and Behance as well. So I think let the world know how good you are, right? Show your work, reach out to people, have reach out to people on LinkedIn, market your work. I think these days, I think in the days of social media, it's not very hard to gather an audience for all the work that you have. So as long as you are slightly diligent about the fact, and regularly publish your work, and you just need to ensure that people know about you, right? People know about you and your work, and people have good impression of your work, right? So one people, if you have satisfied one client, right, he will go and tell 10 other clients, right?
That's
So
true.
so I think satisfaction, you would have to treat each and every client. It does not really matter on the amount he's paying, right? You have to treat each and every client in the same way, right? So, and no matter how small the work is, it could be a small logo design aspect, right? but always try to give your 120% to the work, all the work that you do. It need not always be a huge project, right? So you always start small, and then people start knowing you, and then you build your own website, you publish your works on all the so it works very organically. So during the first few months it could be slow, right? And then people start to know you, and maybe you would see that over, so it's more like a compound interest, so it gradually keeps on adding up.
Lovely, lovely. So I think that ends on a good note as well. Like you've shared a lot of insights, I think, into how to build your portfolio, what is required. So thank you so much for taking time out to delivering such a beautiful session.
I just hope that all those aspirants had at least a few takeaway from this session, right?
Definitely. Do you
So
have a couple
that
of pro tips before we wrap up this session for the students who want to move into designing?
uh, pro tips, I think I have already shared whatever I had to. I think
Nice.
this was a very spontaneous session. I was being very candid about the things that I've said. I haven't prepared anything. So I mean, it was just as is all the experience that I have had, and all the things that I do. I think one thing is that be honest with your work is I would say, and it does not really meant only for design. No matter whatever you are doing at any point of time, right? Give your heart and soul into it. It's not, don't do anything just for the sake of it, right? I think as long as it's there, you are honest with yourself and your work, I think you will get better eventually. And always be open to learning, and always be open for feedback, right? I think a lot of people, I have gone through the same phase as well, right? Like I had people come up to me and said that, okay, this is bad, or you don't know this, and I would start taking things personally. But then as with experience, you come and realize, but these things only make you a better person and a designer as a whole, right? So always say, as long as the criticisms are constructive criticism, and they are helping you grow, right? Always be open to them. At the end of the day, it's only helping you grow.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Carol, for taking time out. It was a beautiful session, and the mentees also have definitely enjoyed because they stayed online to ask the questions that they have always had in their mind as well. So thank you once
Yeah.
again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the session. I hope it was worthwhile.
Definitely. Thank you. A huge thank you to the QFIS team as well. Good night, everyone, and take care and stay safe.
Yeah. Good night, guys. Bye.